The Glock 19 has been described by Colion Noir as the apple of the gun world, and I couldn't have said it better myself. It's very simple, almost always the same through generations, but most of all, it's reliable. With that comes a die-hard fan base that admittedly sometimes takes things a bit too far in the fanboy. That is not to say Glock is bad, it's quite the opposite. Rather, it is to say that one must take an objective and honest look at any firearm purchased, especially if it's for self-defense. Yes, that includes considering its flaws. Now, for a brief history about Glock. Gaston Glock was an Austrian engineer and businessman who began developing curtain rods and knives. Glock's first production pistol was the Glock 17 in 1981. Glock patents 1 through 16 were plastic curtain rods, plastic kitchen boxes, machine gun ammo belts, shovels, and or utility knives. Patents 17 and above are all different calibers and sizes of pistol. Thus, how we have now evolved to the Glock 19 Generation 5. The Glock 19 Generation 5 is not what you would call fancy. I would describe it as the old USPS mailman that delivers your mail. He never fails to show up and to do his job, yet usually they are simple and quite plain. Nothing fancy about them, but you can depend on them. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of this firearm. Firstly, I would like to say that the finish and overall look of the Generation 5 lends to a bit of a cleaner experience. With an ambidextrous slide and mag release, you really get the best of Glock. I am particularly pleased with its ambidextrous capability, as I myself am left-handed and actually carry this firearm regularly. Glock has a pleasant, slightly flared magwell, which is a nice mix between keeping it simple and still increasing functionality. It has a 15+1 standard capacity and a finish that, like any other firearm, will show its age with constant use. This generation actually removed the finger grooves that previous generations had. This was partially in response to consumer feedback. Personally, I like it. It allows for a more customizable and free grip. You can add grip tape or any type of grip customizer to make it work best for you, or you can be like me and not do anything additional to the grip. Now for the slide. It has both forward and rear straight slide serrations, as well as a beveled muzzle end. The slide is otherwise quite uneventful. I find the front side serrations great for if you choose to do a press check, and the rear perfect for clearing malfunctions or chambering around. The included iron sights are Glock's polymer adjustable sights that include a U-shaped rear sight and a dot front sight. They are very basic and honestly nothing to brag about. However, just like everything else on this firearm, they work. I would recommend, however, upgrading to some True Glow or Trijicon night sights for better sight acquisition, especially in low light situations. Glock does provide an MOS version that allows for an optics-ready configuration. This is great for those of us who have poor eyesight or simply care about fast and accurate target acquisition and follow-up shots. The model I am reviewing does not have a pre-milled optics-ready plate. There is always an option for me to get it milled. However, the price I was quoted by Glock Shop, which is a local store that does milling, was around $300. If you want a red dot, get the MOS version by all means. A red dot on a pistol is a completely normal thing nowadays, and I'm all for it. If you can get one, then do it. Although PMag provides their equivalent magazine for far cheaper than Glock, I find them good for nothing more than range training or just plinking around. When your life may be on the line, I only trust Glock magazines to be reliable and sturdy enough to depend upon. Don't get me wrong, PMag may work in a pinch, but why would you put kerosene in a diesel engine just because it runs it, when you know diesel runs far better and safer in it? The Glock 19 Gen 5 is a perfect candidate for a WML, or Weapons Mounted Light. I personally use and recommend the Streamlight TLR 7A because of its flush fitment to the muzzle of the firearm, as well as its impressive 500 lumens of both throw and flood light. It also lends itself to be the jack of all trades, master of none light. You can use it for home defense as a nightstand gun, and can just as easily use it for a concealed carry due to it not increasing the footprint of the firearm much. On the other hand, if you are an individual who prefers a standoff light, might I recommend the TLR 1HL. It is a full-size weapons light with an impressive 1000 lumens of throw and flood. It does increase the footprint of the firearm, however, that might not be an issue if you are using it for home defense strictly. I would like to note, however, that a different pistol entirely may be more suitable for home defense scenarios if you have the option, like the Glock 17 or Glock 45. Both in Generation 5. Admittedly, the trigger isn't the lightest or best on the market, but it would be a stretch to say it's horrible. This is partially due to the nature of all Glock triggers, as well as the two-stage safety trigger designed into it. No, it's not a match trigger, but that's not what it's designed to be. It would be foolhardy to expect a Corolla to perform as fast as a C8 Corvette. The point is that it functions and it performs well. If you already have an older generation Glock, should you get the Glock 19 Gen 5? Well, if you already have a Glock 19 and have no issues with it, then I wouldn't recommend upgrading. However, if you are left-handed or have issues with the grip of previous generations, I would definitely recommend upgrading to a Generation 5. At this point, the used market is flooded with Generation 5s that you can get for under $500. New models are around the $575 to $675 price point. They hold their value well and are a great investment into self-preservation. What about Glock clones? Although this review isn't about Glock clones, I will touch up on them briefly. As it stands today, the market for Glock clones has exploded over the past several years. There are many clones out there that have comparable specs and upgrades right out of the box to that of a Glock that you would have to upgrade yourself. There is no question that buying a Glock clone will save you money on upgrade costs if you plan to do that. The route you take in that regard is up to you to decide, and comparisons are for a future video. With that being said, Glock has always been a reliable and safe firearm manufacturer that you can carry with peace of mind. In conclusion, the Glock 19 Gen 5 is not only a more modern take on the classic Glock design, but also a rugged, reliable, and still simple firearm. It is truly the Toyota Camry of the firearm world, boring and reliable. If you don't care about the extra and often unnecessary flair that some other pistols have, then I couldn't recommend this firearm enough. If you guys like this video, make sure to drop a like down below, tell me what you thought about it down below in the comments, and make sure to subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I will see you guys next time.